Before you ever needed a paycheck, you were a person. So it goes purpose, person, paycheck.
It wasn't the money I lost. It was the headache associated with unraveling the bull.
If you put yourself in position, you don't need to swing for the fences. All you need is base hits. How important is identity?
Yeah. So, I'm a faith guy, right? So I tell people I'm not that smart, man. I copy and paste and plagiarize Jesus, and sometimes I give him credit.
Yeah.
So I say it a little differently. So that's Stephen Covey, right? His framework. My thought is I call it P3. Before you needed a paycheck, you were a person. And before you were a person, you had a purpose, right? So purpose is first. Purpose is the thought and idea that God had in mind when he took you from his mind, put you in your father's body, who released you in your mother's womb, right? So if you start with your birth date, you start too late. You started too late.
Okay. Here you go.
Because you started as a thought from God. If you are created, the creation starts in the mind of the creator. So your origin started in God's mind of what Marcus could become, what Marcus could be, that God thought my potential, my talent, my ability. So the only reason that I am a person is because I had a purpose. So before you were a person, you had a purpose. And before you ever needed a paycheck, you were a person.
Right.
If you ever get that confused and you chase paycheck, you lose the idea of becoming the person. If you just focus on the person, you cannot be fulfilled because you haven't discovered purpose. So before you were a person, you had a purpose.
Gotcha.
The original thought and intent of God. Before you ever needed a paycheck, you were a person. So it goes purpose, person, paycheck. You don't even have to pursue a paycheck if you discover purpose. Here's why. Humanity is the only thing that God ever created that leaves the environment and go and figure out how it's going to find fulfillment, food, and supply. A fish don't leave the water looking for food, but humanity leaves purpose looking for money.
Okay.
Here we go.
This is what we're doing. So it's only right at this point, understanding the order of operations, that we understand what is your purpose.
Yeah. So I have a 4-prong, I call it the Rosa mission statement, or my LMS, life mission statement. And I teach this in business because I think that you're going to find a whole lot of things on your journey, information, people, but you won't find fulfillment until you figure this out. So mine is, number 1, what I call to do what pleases God. That is, what is the thought? I don't want to malfunction, right? So what is the thought that he had in mind for me? Right. So how do I do what pleases God? Number 2, to do what I'm gifted at and love doing. So important. So important. Because I don't want to do what I'm gifted at if I don't love doing it. If not, you're 20 years retired like Michael Jordan and you still identify as a basketball player. Can't be. You haven't been that for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to do what I'm gifted at and love doing. Number 3, what helps people. And number 4, what pays me well. I call that mission epic, to empower people and inspire change. Right? So that's my purpose. Like, how do I take the gift that God has given me? Some people think my gift is communication. It's really not. It's wisdom, which is a spiritual gift. My communication, I wasn't born with. I had to develop. My wisdom, I was. So what you're hearing from me is thought. But I had to develop the gift of communication, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's like if you say, hey, I naturally am inclined to numbers, well, you had to find an occupation, tax, or investment to figure out what's the vehicle that you're going to use that for. Right. So when I'm talking about my purpose is to be epic, is to empower people to find their charger. How do you find the thing that you can plug your life into so you can generate power, resources to other people? Yeah, that's mine.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So you mentioned something about communication. How important is it to be a good communicator if you want to be a business entrepreneur?
I don't think it's just entrepreneurship. I think everything in your life and your business gets better if you get better with words. So if you are a father who's been absent in your kid's life, your ability to articulate and have that conversation, the relationship gets better if you get better with words. If you're a married man and don't know how to communicate vision or your emotional needs to your spouse, she could love you but can't understand how to love you if you don't get better with words. If you are a leader of a team, you can have great employees that you expect to be mind readers simply because you told them what to do, but you didn't explain it because you're not good with words. Everything in your marketing, your ad budget gets cheaper if you get better with words. Your email open rate is better if you get better with words. Your landing page, your sales page converts better if you get better with words. You close higher percentages from stage if you get better with words. Everything in your life and your business gets better if you get better with words.
How does one get better with words?
I'm happy that you asked me. now look at what we just did. What I just did is actually a speaking framework. Here's why. What's the core anchor of the message? Everything in your life gets better if what? You get better with words. Now I got call and response with the crowd.
Yeah.
And what I did was I made you believe what I believe because I proved my case.
4 times. 4 times.
Not just once.
With the spouse, with the child,
with the team,
the business. So you just
hit everybody
in the room and let them know that the most important thing that they be focused on this moment is what you want them to focus on.
Better words. Yeah. And it's not. And here's why it lands. It's truth. Truth that leaves the heart reaches the heart. You ain't got to force nobody. It's truth. You can't argue truth because a person will, well, I don't know if I agree with that. Name something that is more important and a higher skill in communication. They're like, well, making money. How you going to do it? At the end of every war, somebody got to sit down and talk about it. Right? Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So how does one get better with words? This is not going to be the answer people want. What people be wanting, bro, is like, give me 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah. Right.
Communication and speaking is a skill, not information. What people want you to share with them is information, but you don't sit dangling your feet in the water and read a book on how to swim. Yeah. You got to actually swim. Yeah. Right. How do you learn how to walk? From falling.
Yeah.
So you actually have to attempt to do the thing and measure what we call your ignorance gap. How far am I from what I need to know to get a result? So you don't learn how to speak until you fail at speaking and measure how wide is the gap between the skill and the ignorance. Right? Yeah. So it was like, what did I get wrong? So to that point, clear communication comes from a clear mind. This is a core concept I even teach. Like now we just released we call a speaker program, so to speak, but it's targeted not at becoming a motivational speaker or any of that. It's for CEOs, business owners who's using speaking to grow their brand, business, and bank account, right? Yeah. So it's like that. Clear communication comes from a clear mind. So people think, how do I get better at speaking? It's not speaking, it's thinking. Because you only speak with your mind. You're using your mouth, but your mouth is expressing.
Yeah.
So when somebody say, "Man, Marcus, how are you tell like the stuff y'all are asking me? How is this so articulate? How are you not saying pauses?" Because I am clear in my mind. So what you're inheriting is the clarity of my mind. So it's easy to find things. I just told my lady, I was like, yo, if you went, I'm very organized in my closet. All my stuff is all my whites together, all my blacks together, all my shoes, all my threes. So I could tell her, hey, go in the closet, go to the white section, not the t-shirts, to the dress shirts, and find this, right? Most people don't have an information management system in their head that way. So they can't find something when they want it.
I heard that the mind is a great place for thinking of ideas, but not for storing them. But it sounds like what you're saying is, even if that's true, you have to have a great recall system so that you can access those thoughts.
100%. So I've got a bunch of, I don't call them frameworks, recipes. It's not word for word that I can pull from, or if you're reading a book, I am very, very clear on what it takes to ideate and create a concept that changes people's lives, right? So our generation now don't really respect information or ideas, so we burglarize people's ideas and thoughts. I call them thought thieves. So we will take a person who's set with a discipline to create a framework, a concept, an idea. So if you talk about the laws of leadership, we think John Maxwell. If John Maxwell was right now an internet person, somebody would steal that idea and act like it's their own.
They actually do it right now.
If you think about Chapman, the love languages, well, he didn't create it. He named it and placed it almost like a street sign. You know what I'm saying? The concepts existed. Here's my point. That clarity that you're talking about comes from an extreme discipline where you've got to sit and ideate and think, how do I make this simple for someone else? You already have it. You already know it. So you're creating a way that the audience now can see it, can understand it. So for a person who's trying to get better with communication, it doesn't happen without you having in your schedule that. It's like, how do I get stronger in the gym? Go to the gym and work out.
Yeah.
Right.
How do I get stronger with communication? I'm gonna say, I know I talk in riddle, but it helps people get it.
Yeah.
You don't even see with your eyes, you see with your mind. You get what I'm saying? Like if you're looking right now, this is why two people can look at the same thing and perceive it differently, because you're not really seeing it with your eyes, you're seeing it with your mind.
Filter of your mind. Yeah.
If I'm talking to right now, whoever watches this podcast, 3,000 people would all hear something different.
Yeah.
One person hears one point and say, ooh, that was what I needed. Because you don't even hear with your ears, you hear with your mind.
So if you like intentionally plant the seed in your mind of what you're trying to communicate, it'll be easier for you to articulate.
100%. So your reticular activating system, right? Your RAS is like how if you buy a Audi or a Honda, you see them all over the world.
Right.
That's the part of your brain that filters out what's not important or filters in what is. Car's already been there. You only paying attention to it because your RAS, reticular activating system's been triggered.
Yeah.
So if you go on a path to learn taxes, you notice how you spot, oh, that's good. You'll see information nobody else sees because your RAS is triggered to it. Yep. You're like, hold on, it's been there all along. You see it with your mind because you're filtering out taxes. When I'm seeing communication, when I'm looking at speaking, when when I'm seeing something, I see it totally different. I also, like, even with my Audible files, I mark whose quote it is because I know how hard it is to come up with your own stuff. I never want to make the mistake of regurgitating someone's stuff without giving them credit for it.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So it's forcefully making your mind filter and focus on the things you want to focus on. So how do you weed out those distractions? So number one, how does somebody get better with communication? Actually train your mind towards focusing on a specific outcome. Right. So if you're saying, hey, the thing that I want to talk about is taxes, don't just get on stage and ramble on that joint, bro. Yeah. Like people will say, well, man, I work better at the last minute. That's not true. No. That's just the lie you told yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Because if you work better at the last minute, what you're saying is you're one emergency away from having to be selfish. Because if you get a phone call right before you got to do the thing you're supposed to do, you got to choose between preparing for that moment or being there for people that need you. Procrastination is the highest form of selfishness because you're putting yourself in a position to have to choose between the thing you're responsible for that's important to you. Like it's important to me to kill it on stage, but my family is important to me. So if I don't prepare in advance, if my dad calls me and needs me, I got to choose between me, the opportunity, the brand, or the person.
Yeah.
So just create a regimen. You know what I'm saying? Like of this constant, if you intake and read, when do you sit with that stuff and manage, okay, of all the stuff, what's my information management system? Of all the stuff that I've read and learned, when do I do it? So here's what I do if I'm at a conference. My boy Neo, he said, bro, you do a really good job of speaking, of selling from stage. You're like, but you don't do a good job of like talking about yourself. He's like, so you'll leave from a room and you'll edify the person who conference it was, but you never really give your backstory and who you are for people to buy into you. Yeah. He's like, you gotta get better with that. I said, I put out my phone. He's like, what you doing? I said, I'm putting it on my calendar. He's like, what you mean? I said, what you just told me, I'm putting it on my calendar to remind me every week to work on that.
Real time.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, what does that look like? I was like, the thing you told me. So I'm gonna start throughout the week just writing down core areas I can work on. That's what I'm saying. That's how you get better.
Yeah.
It's on the calendar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I always tell people, if you want to commit to something, you do it in 3 ways. Commit with your wallet first, right? To make sure that you're financially committed. Commit with your calendar second to make sure it's actually on your calendar. Then commit with your circle last. Because if you get in a room of people that are going to do it as well, you're going to do it. So like you want to work out, you pay a trainer, commit with your wallet, you schedule the training sessions on your calendar every day. And then you also change your circle by now you're working out with other people that work out. If you do those 3 things, you can master anything.
If you think I ain't right now, you are lying. Commit now, number 1. That's a full sales framework too.
Yeah.
Hold on, in real time, folks. You should pause it right now. Right there. Commit with your wallet. Yeah. Commit with your calendar.
Then commit with your circle.
Because if you think about it, you said you don't call them recipes. Frameworks. You call them recipes. So if you think about a recipe, you have this dish that you want to make. You say, I want to make lasagna, right? If you want to make lasagna, you have to have the ingredients, right, for the dish. So you got to make sure that you have the ingredients to make the thing. then you got to figure out, well, what is the cook time? How long is it going to take me to make the dish? Right. So for me, when you said recipes, that's really clicked for me because that's how I think about everything that I do. Like, what are the ingredients, i.e., what are the tasks that I have to do to make this happen? What is the macro outcome, i.e., I want to make the lasagna, but then I got to buy the ingredients and then I got to have the time to actually do it. And I think so many times people just think about the outcome, but not realizing, do they even have all the ingredients, right, to make it, right? Had they allocated the time to be able to cook it?
The way you find a great business partner is first by becoming a great business partner, right? People want to help people who are already helping themselves.
Correct.
If you're not doing nothing for you, I can't trust you to do nothing for me.
Big
If you lie to yourself,
talk about it.
I know you're going to lie to me.
Big facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I think the first thing we need to do before seeking out a business partner in our business is we have to first become a good business partner ourselves. How do I become somebody of value that somebody else will want to partner with in the future? Like you need to ask yourself the question, would you want to partner with you? Like, think about this. If you haven't started your own business yet, that is a sign to me that you don't want to be in business with you.
Oh gosh, that's
coming out swinging.
Yeah, that's real. That's real, right? So ask yourself that tough question. It's like, yo, like, am I seeking help because I'm not willing to do the work on my own, right? Like, that might be the reason why you think you need a business partner. I need a business partner. Like, no, you need to get your ass up and get to work, right? Like,
you need to get some work going, bro.
Yeah, get to work. Like, I don't know if y'all watch. You probably don't watch it. I've seen a couple episodes. This show called Raising Cain. I'll see you the clip. It'll be funnier after the fact. But it's this dude. He's like really socially awkward. And like he got out of jail and now he's back in the streets and trying to like, sell drugs again. So he's pressing this little kid who's like just selling weed or whatever. He's like, yo, man, I need some work, nigga. like he pressing him, yo. But now you need to get up, you need to get to work. What I would say next to that's really important, is you need to find someone who has complementary skill sets to you. Now, here's something that, especially if you're going to a business partner with another man, like, you have to kill the ego, right? Like, that's the big thing. I wanted to do like a part 1B to this just so y'all can understand how important this is. But like, number one, yes, complementary skill sets. But the reason why I brought that up is because it might mean that there's something that you're good at, but they could do it better than you had the desire to do it. And it makes the most sense for the partnership, right? Like, I consider myself a very great marketer, right? I understand marketing, I understand the psychology of it, I understand like attention, conversions, etc. But I knew, for the sake of what I wanted to build with a partner, that I couldn't be that person, right? And so I had to kill my ego to say, who do I think could do it just as good or better, even though I think I can do it, right? But if I let my ego take over, then we would never be where we are right now, right? And same thing for you. You were the CEO of your own company before we partnered, right? So it's like, okay, well, I could still keep doing that, technically speaking. I already did it. Or I could kill my ego and let somebody else wear that hat, right?
Now, difference between me and you, I don't like do. I'm saying, I can say a lot to the audience, bro.
Yeah.
But like, yo, I do everything you do in our business. I'm so happy I don't have to do anymore. Like, and there's obviously ego in the, like, you have to kill around, like, decision making and like, again, most people can't, like, I have no problem saying you're the CEO of our company.
Right.
Most men won't have the ego to say that. They're like, no, we co-CEOs, bro. Can care less. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you do the stuff I don't want to do.
Right. Nah, that's fair. And when I say kill ego, I honestly mean just like seeing the bigger picture. That's a better way to put it, right? It's seeing the bigger picture to know, like, okay, man, this is a man who's excited. He's well equipped to do this in a big way for the company, right? Why wouldn't I get out of the way and let him do that and not feel like I still need to like beat my chest and show that I can do it too, right? It's like, no, like, I would play my role in it the same way you have to play your role in decision making for the company for certain things, right? But when it comes to leading that charge, I don't have to do that anymore, and vice versa.
And I think that the reason that's the case is because we have respect for the skills that person has in that. If you sucked at being a CEO, bro, as much as I didn't want to do it, God, let me put the CEO boots on, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like,
not for sure.
If you're watching the person fail at it miserably, then you're not going to give them the autonomy to do it. But if they're doing it at a level that meets your expectations or it should exceed your expectations, it's a lot easier to take the step back and be like, yo, run with it, bro.
100%. So to put a bow on that, finding somebody who, whether it's like they do something you don't want to do, or they do something that could be great for the company and it makes the most sense for them to do it, but finding somebody who has a complementary skill set or can help you divide and conquer, right? So for what it's worth, for all intents and purposes, my function as in this partnership as it stands today is making sure that we deliver on our promise and that our internal infrastructure can support the growth that we want to have. Carter's number one objective is making sure that as many people that we can, humanly possible, right, serve and support, that they can find out about us, know who we are, know what we do, and we can get them inside, right? And that's the kind of how we can divide and conquer. So he can rest assured knowing that I'm always working on those things. Hey, I hired this person. I'm working on this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I can always rest assured the Carter's going to go live, right? He's going to teach somebody's class. He's going to be in somebody's ad, right, to do what he needs to do to get the people in the door, right? And that's just, so you need to find that, right? Because if y'all just doing the same thing, because again, it could sound nice where you can have another you like, oh, we about to run it up. We can, let's do a challenge every week. You know what I'm saying? And it would sound good, but that back on the outset. Be mad shaky, right? It would sound good on the outset, but understanding like, yo, like you have to prioritize, or the contrarian, like someone who's so great and the CRM is perfect and the systems and the processes, but y'all ain't got nothing to manage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to find somebody who has a strength and a zone of genius that can help you amplify what you're doing, is complementary, and help you divide and conquer so you can get more done. That's what I would say.
So that's question number one. We went long on that question, which is rightfully so, because that's a very important question. So question number two, should I put my house under my primary residence under an LLC?
No. Next question.
Like, don't let Instagram send y'all off, man.
Right, bro. Like, y'all be doing the most.
Before you make a decision, ask yourself, what is the goal?
Right.
What is
the goal? Is to say I got an LLC.
Jesus Christ.
What you would do with the LLC?
Yeah. So the answer is no, but you should put your primary residence in a revocable trust.
Correct. Bing, ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the reason you want to do that is because, like, when you we could actually expand on this a little bit more because I got some game for this. So you want to put your primary residence in a revocable trust so that when you do pass away, that home goes to the kid that you wanted to go to, or the kids you wanted to go to, without passing through probate court. Another reason you want to put your home in a revocable trust is you never want to gift your...
I was hoping he was going to go
So you never want to gift your kids your residence while you're alive. Don't do that.
Right.
Because they're going to have to pay the capital gains taxes on the difference between when they bought it and when they gave it to you.
Right.
Because the gift, you don't have to pay tax on that, but you have to pay taxes on the difference of the equity in the property is your tax liability. Instead of gifting your kids the property while you're alive, put it in a irrevocable trust. That way, even if you have $1 million in capital gains in it, they get what's called a step up in basis, meaning that, it's a new quote I got, when they die, the tax bill dies with them. So
like that. Whoever it is, you probably got two more.
Storm Leroy.
Oh, Storm Leroy. Okay,
Storm,
you got two more Storm.
Two more Storm.
Two more Storm.
And
after
then,
that, it's getting adopted. Right, it's getting adopted, and we putting them in a trust as a benefit. A trust for all the quotes that used to be somebody else's.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So that was a great question. Another question. What are some financial mistakes that you all have made, and how has that made you all better with financial literacy?
Yeah. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast now, but I know I talked about it at some point recently. One that's shared and then one that's individual. So one that's individual is I invested in.
Do you really go bring? No, because the shared one we can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I invested in a Amazon fulfillment business, and it wasn't the money I lost. It was the headache associated with unraveling the bullshit. Oh my God. Like, so it was like $35,000 whatever. Like, I remember telling you about it. Yo, bro, I got this store.
Said, boom. I'm like, oh, bro, okay, I'm going to do mine next. You let me know how yours go.
I went silent. And so I invested in it, right? And like, it started out, like, first it took a little while to get started, right? Boom, whatever. But it's like you can just fully first and foremost, I'm gonna say this. Just let me talk to the camera on this, right? Like, if you ever see somebody do an ad and it says automated FBA, automated, it ain't shit automated about entrepreneurship. Okay, like unless it's the S&P 500, that's about the only automated anything you're gonna get anywhere. Digital product businesses not automated, right? Like they're scalable and extremely profitable. But like, let me just say that if you see somebody trying to sell you someone automated anything, it's a lie. Okay, so I set it up. First red flag was like I had to get like file this tax exempt status in like all these states, right? And that was a process. And so then what I didn't realize is that even though I wasn't transacting business in some of these states, I still had, and it was my responsibility, they didn't tell me this, I still had to file. So then I was getting people hitting me up about, yo, like you ain't paid your taxes. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Each individual
state
reach out to you about the sales taxes that you didn't pay
every state. I'm talking about, bro, I shut that shit down so fast it wasn't even funny. Like that was probably, and again, it wasn't the biggest financial mistake. It was the mistake of investing in something that I didn't know, that I thought would be passive without doing more due diligence on the opportunity. I was excited. I saw a lot of people talking about Amazon at the time. It was in the pandemic. I shop on Amazon all the time. I'm like, yo, this is gonna be lit. And it was a lot more like a firecracker than it was a candle. I'll say that.
Cool. All right, I can talk about our shared experience because it was more my idea than yours.
Yeah.
So I'll own this one. So we were, I was at an event, high level entrepreneurs, and I'm sitting at this lunch table and everybody's telling me about this account that they have that is literally printing money. I'm talking about returns that don't make any sense.
And now we know why.
20% a month.
Right.
30% a month. And I'm seeing like all these entrepreneurs like showing me their accounts. Boom, boom, boom. Some people multiple 6 figures, some people multiple 7 figures. I'm like, yo, I need in on this account. The problem is that account had a minimum that I could have invested myself, but I didn't want to invest that whole minimum by myself.
But you're glad you didn't.
Yeah. And plus I was like, I want my, because like there's a minimum. So like my homie want to get in. Why don't we get in under the same account? So I hit up G. I'm like, yo, got this account, bro. Doing 25-30% a month, bro. Let's do it. So I put 75,000 in. You put 75,000 in because it was $150,000 minimum. Put the money in. We had friends in it talking about like yo, like dude, like I got my money out. Cool. We did some vetting,
right? But
we didn't do a lot of vetting. And long story short, by the time we got in, was it maybe 4 months later?
If that, yeah.
4 months later, we found out it was a gigantic Ponzi scheme, and everybody who was in that didn't get that. If you didn't get your money out before that moment, when the word got out, everybody's money was locked in. All the accounts were shut down, and all money in it was just poof,
vanished. Thin air. Right now, here's the good lesson in that. The good lesson is that even though we wouldn't have wanted to lose any of that money, we didn't invest so much that it broke us, right? To where, oh my gosh, like now what am I going to do? I bet the house on this. I just knew this was going to be the one, right? Like it stung. It was unfortunate, but like the show,
more of a pride thing than the money thing.
The show went on, right?
Yeah. Here's a lesson I got from that. I read it in a book a couple months after. It just shows how the mind, the reticular activating system is one of the things that you need to find out. It said, it was a finance book. It said, if you put yourself in position